Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am Moody and today we're going to be sculpting Pickle Rick. I really enjoy this character. One of the reasons I've decided to sculpt this is because a friend of mine I used to work with requested it a long time ago and I'm just now getting around to it. Plus I want to do some more Rick and Morty stuff. Another thing I want to say is that, don't hold me to this, but I'm going to have an attempt at sculpting this guy out of air dry clay and seeing if I can paint it with my airbrush and everything like that. So I thought it made sense to try something like that out, as I want to eventually paint these and print them and stuff like that. So depending on how it goes, I'll post it. It really depends how it goes. If it just looks absolutely god awful, I probably won't post it. So with all that being said, let's get into it and start sculpting this guy. So basically we're going to start this off with some very primitive shapes. That's just a sphere that I stretched out, and we're just going to start adding some of these primitives in using the curve tool. There's not really an awful lot going on here that we haven't done in every other video that I've got on my channel, so I'll try and not talk too much and just let this play out for as long as possible before I get involved again and start talking about any of the sculpting that I'm doing. So yeah, we'll let this play out for now, as like I said, it's very simple shapes, not a lot going on, and we'll jump back in when anything comes up I decide I want to talk about. Some parts of this model were a little tricky to kind of get my head around, as the reference is, as it's a 2D drawing, the reference is a little bit all over the place. There's no one side of it works perfectly for the other side. So I had to use my imagination a little bit here when I was creating the pelvic areas and stuff like that. When it comes to creating the spine, I basically sculpted one vertebrae, added it to a curve, and then upped the count in the options there at the top. Again, there's not an awful lot going on here that we haven't done before, guys, so I'll keep the talking to a minimum. There's not really much else to say about all of that. Like I said, using the curve tool and just making my best guess based on the 2D images. Mostly was using these things for scale and positioning, and the rest of it I was just artistic liberties, if you want. I was taking a few liberties with some of it just to make it work and look nice. So and we'll jump back in if anything comes up, but like I said, guys, I'm going to try and keep talking to a minimum on this because there's not a lot going on. So one other thing I want to talk about before I let this play out for a little while longer is it's not posed. I build it based on the reference in the background and then do a basic sculpt over the whole thing, just try and mitigate the work that I have to do later. I just basically build it and sculpt it to the reference image I'm using, and then I'll chop it up, particularly around the body. I'll chop that up and I'll pose it all later on. So it's not this isn't how it's going to end up looking, as you can probably tell from the images that played out at the start. But yeah, like I said, this isn't something that I sculpted in the position it was in. I made a bunch of the parts, chopped it up and separated it out as I needed to, and then posed it afterwards and cleaned up the sculpt from there. So again, here we go. I'm just splitting it up now a little bit and testing things out. I'll jump back in a bit. There's nothing crazy going on here. The hands were pretty simple. Again, I pose these up a bit later, do a better job of posing them up just by masking out the areas and moving them into position and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll let this play out for a bit longer, and I'll jump in a little bit when anything else comes up. So just quickly, I wanted to say one of the things about sculpting this model that I did really enjoy after watching that leg being built there, the bones and things like that, they were just fun to build. You know what I mean? There was no like hard and fast rules that I had to follow to make this thing look good. You know what I mean? The whole thing's like very, very cartoony. So when it comes to like the mangy sort of leg on the other side, and the leg on this side, which is being supported by extra bones on the outside of it and stuff like that, it was just fun to do because it was like sculpting a classic cartoon bone. You know, I didn't have to worry too much about how it really looks and stuff like that. So yeah, the whole thing, just sculpting this whole thing was just really fun and really easy. And like, you know, this leg here that I'm working on now, the sort of like right leg, which is a bit more mangy compared to the other one, I just scratched into the mesh there and then ended up making it look a bit like beef jerky, you know. So it was just fun. I had a really good time sculpting this because there was no worries or stresses that I had to sort of worry about, you know, in the sense of like having it look anatomically correct, because nothing about this thing is anatomically correct. It's a walking pickle. So yeah, it was just really good fun. And you know, one of the things that I should probably do more stuff like this because it is just fun. And like, not that I don't enjoy sculpting, you know, anatomy and stuff like that. It's just that it's a little bit more in depth. I have to think a bit more about what I'm doing, and stuff like this I can just throw shapes down, and it's just generally fun to do. So, you know, as much as I enjoy sculpting anatomy and doing that sort of thing, I think I'm going to start doing a few more of these sorts of like cartoony sculpts, just because they're fun to do, like I said, and there's no real pressure on me to make it look anatomically correct. So yeah, it was fun, and I'll probably do some more Rick and Morty characters. We'll see. But yeah, I'll let this carry on for now, and I'll jump in again maybe when we get to the painting, or maybe when we get to the posing. But you know, there's oh, I do have to sculpt some of his extra bits and bobs, like he's got a weapon that he's carrying in this, and some ammo, the batteries or his ammunition and stuff. But yeah, I'll jump back in a little bit, but I just wanted to, you know, mention that, because yeah, as much fun as it is sculpting anatomy, I you know, I miss sculpting things like this, because they're just fun, they're easy, really, nothing stressful. So yeah, here we go. I'm just following some reference. This is some great reference that I found of the laser weapon. Kudos to the artist who put this together. I'll try and find out who it was and put the link in the description, the name in the description, but no promises, guys, because I kind of just grabbed this from Google, and I didn't really pay attention to any of that. I should probably do better when it comes to that sort of thing, so I'll give it my best shot and try and find out who the artist is for the reference here. It might even be like it might even be legitimate artwork from the studio, so it'd be even harder for me to tell you who it is, but I'll give it my best shot. If there's nothing in the description about it, then, you know, I probably just gave up, because it's difficult to find these things, and I'm lazy, so. basically all of his accessories done. We're going to work on posing the actual model now. Again, I don't really chop everything up. I think I chopped the pickle up in the middle just because of how much more motion or how much more the body bends compared to everything else, and you know, the other stuff's relatively small and easy to sculpt up. I mean, I don't think it would have been a massive deal, but most of this I moved the parts or mask off the areas just to pose it a little bit better. But you know, it's pretty easy stuff, guys. You know, but mask off the area that you want to move, flip the mask, and then you know, move the pivot point into a position where you think it would pivot from, and then rotate it. It's not a super in-depth process, and again, I only really do that for these kind of cartoony type sculpts, you know, like I don't need to worry so much about the pose being anatomically correct in terms of size or anything like that, like if I'm doing a more realistic sculpt. So these things are a lot more forgiving in that sense. So now that I've got the bulk of the body posed up, I'm going to move all of the rest of the body parts around it back into position, and then I'm pretty sure we're going to do some basic clean up of the sculpt, and then I think we're going to start painting this thing, guys. I'm super excited to actually get this little dude sculpted out in clay and just see if I can do it. You know, I think this will be a good sculpt to practice that on and just give it a shot. Because, like I said, it's a really cartoony, simple sculpt. I think this type of artwork is very forgiving when it comes to converting it into a 3D art form. You know, like it's just fun to do. So, I mean, I'll keep you guys posted on that video. And yeah, I think, like I said, we're just posing this guy back up again, and we're going to sculpt up the body and just do any tidy up. And then I think we're going to move on to painting, which was also fun because, you know, I went for with the painting, I went for a semi-realistic, a mix of semi-realistic and cartoony. So you'll see when we get to that. But you know, I think it really came out well. The sort of like the muscle areas where it looks like the flesh has been ripped off, I tried to make that like shiny a little bit so it looks a bit wet and moist. The same with the pickle, you know, because it's probably been soaking in brine and that'll take a long time to dry out. So yeah, there's a lot of just cool stuff going on with this that just, I don't mean to say it over and over, but there's not an awful lot that you have to think about or worry about with this type of sculpt. So I had a great time doing it, guys. I say it again, you know. Anyway, like I said, we'll let this play out for now. We'll let this sculpt, we'll do the cleanup of the sculpt and finish off the posing and stuff like that. I think after that we have to build a base for this guy to stand on, and then we're going to move on to painting it. So yeah, I'll jump back in either while the base is being created or once we move on to the painting, guys. excuse me. So yeah, finally for the sculpt here, we're going to just go through and add a little bit of surface detail and texture, like to the leather, and like we just did on the pickle, we cleaned it up a little bit. And yeah, then I think we're almost ready to move on to painting. So yeah, last few bits of clean up, and then painting will begin. Oh, and I've got to add the muscle in some of these areas. I checked the reference and realised that his right arm actually is still got the tendons and muscle on it. So yeah, we'll let this keep going for now, and I'll jump back in when the painting starts. Okay, so I wanted to do a sort of semi-realistic paint job on this guy, just to sort of get a feel of how it might look if it was, I don't want to say realistic, but maybe semi-realistic. The model's very close to what the 2D looks like, but you know, the fun part about these sorts of things is that you get to have fun and try some stuff out. Fortunately for me, the semi-realistic look really worked well. It really came out nicely. I say semi-realistic in the loosest sense of the word because the paint job is on a reasonably low resolution mesh, so I'm cheating a lot of the detail by just you know, sort of splodging it on there, and the further back we move away from the model, the nicer it looks. But I mean, it still works and it still looks really nice. That sort of paint job, I feel like if I'd gone too cartoony, it would have looked just like everything everyone else has done when it comes to this character, and that's something I don't really want to do. I like to try and just keep things at least a little bit fresh, in my opinion. Like, I don't want to just regurgitate something that's been done over and over and over before, and Pickle Rick is a character that has been sculpted to death. So like I said, I went for that sort of semi-realistic feel just to sort of keep it different from what most other people have done. I've seen some AI images that have made it semi-realistic and they kind of looked pretty cool, so I thought I could take that route and just, you know, show you guys what you're able to do inside of Nomad, you know, without taking it to any other programs or even using AI. I also see a lot of questions on some of the groups that I'm in from people that are 3D printing. How can I make this? How did you do that? Where's the STL and stuff like that? And I see a lot of people in response to those questions saying things like, download this AI, it will just make it into a 3D thing. There's just not even close to making it yourself, guys. There's nothing quite like the satisfaction of getting to the point where you're even able to do this type of thing. Just my 2 cents. I think that you're better off learning the skill yourself than relying on an AI to do it. And the AI stuff, you know, yes, some of it looks kind of cool, but it's not usable in a real 3D environment, in a real situation. You know, at best I could see it as like an ideas generator of sorts to say this is what it might look like, but then if you gave that file to an artist, they might as well start it from scratch anyway. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. Learn the craft if you want to, you know, be able to make this types of stuff, and I'm here to answer any questions. You know, if you guys do have questions, ask me in the comments, ask me in the groups that I'm in, and I'll do my best to answer. There are no silly questions, just silly answers in my opinion. So moving off of that, and let's talk about what I just did on the muscles there. I wanted to, again, because of the semi-realistic feel that I was going for, I wanted to have sort of like a little bit of viscera and some veins and stuff, maybe sort of that are clinging to the muscle still. So I set the brush tool to have paint color at the same time as sort of stamping on the detail, and I just selected a sort of like off bluey sort of color for the veins and just stamped that on top with a little bit of sensitivity, a bit of pressure on the left there. You see it going up and down, but just a tiny bit of pressure on there just to make it look like something's just sitting on the top. Set it to paint while you're sculpting on it as well. I forget what the setting's called, and yeah, you can stamp it in there with the color on top, and that's how I did all of the veins on the top of it there. Added the blood just by roughly sort of like splodging it around using it looks like a scratch alpha that's on there, just for like doing scratches and stuff. So I just splodged it around using that. Really, there's not like a crazy amount of detail going on in this. But you know, it came out well, like I said, and I think the veins on top of the muscle really worked out quite nicely. So on top of that, I'm just going to add like a dirt sort of layer, sort of a pass, doing some dirt on it so that he looks a bit grubby. Again, you don't want these things to look fresh and new, because that's just not how the real world works. And then again, yeah, just added some blood in there from anywhere where he's either maybe peeled the skin or he's had to staple it to something. So as it's not been like butchered, let's say, and then hung up to dry, that all of the blood drains out of it when that sort of stuff happens. And if it's fresh muscle like this and he'd sort of like stapled it to his stapled through it to stick the leg to himself, there'd probably still be blood inside that muscle and then just moving around the body there. So you know, I just went for it like that, added some blood splodges, some veins, and just made it look a bit like jerky because it's a mangy leg, and yeah, it just came out really nicely. The rest of it's all kind of simple stuff. I'm just adding, for the metal stuff, just added a metal material which already exists inside of Nomad, just added a bit of dirt to it, and you know, the rest is kind of history, guys. But it's the same as any other sculpt. Add it in layers, you know, play with the opacity if you want to have some of that colour bleeding through and all that sort of jazz. Yeah, but this, like I said, it was just simple and fun and relatively easy to do. I know it took me a while to get it out, but I had a lot of other stuff going on and Christmas to get through and stuff like that. So should be back to uploading relatively consistently again soon. And I do actually have plans to do a series of like sculpt with me tutorials like I've been doing on how I actually sculpt a figure and what types of reference and how I get the anatomy in, and just what sort of things I focus on when I'm doing that. So there's that to sort of keep an eye out for. I know that some of my followers, some people that follow my work, have asked for that, so we'll start working on that soon as well. But again, it'll be when I get round to it, and you know, when I've got time. And again, I don't want it to become something that becomes a chore. So if something fun comes up before having to get to that, I'm going to do the fun thing, guys, because yeah, I want it to be fun for you still, as well as sort of maybe educational. But I think more importantly than that is that I'm being authentic and genuine in the work and the projects that I'm presenting to you. I don't want to feel like I have to do something, because that will come across in the videos. And you know, something that I see a lot of is that people respond to genuine YouTubers, and I couldn't physically do it if I wanted to. I struggle to be that sort of like fake happy. So if I'm not having fun doing something, you're going to hear it in my voice. So yeah, there's that. But you know, again, I'll try and keep it light, I'll try and keep it fun, and I'll try and do as much of the educational stuff as I can. But yeah, just like I said, just a heads up, guys, that is something that I'm going to be working on, because like I said, one of my followers has asked for it, and who am I to deny the people? So yeah, we'll let this paint job play out. I'm going to finish off with the base here, add the sort of like just the Rick and Morty logo to it, and yeah, then I think we're going to move on to the turnarounds. Maybe no, sorry, we're going to add a bit of lighting and then move on to the turnarounds. So again, it's nothing that I haven't done in my other 30 odd videos, however many I've got on my YouTube now. So yeah, we'll keep the talking to a minimum until the end, and I'll say my thank yous and stuff then. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the sculpt, guys. And there we have it, Pickle Rick. Jakey, I hope you like it, buddy. Let me know in the comments if you did. That's my mate that asked for it a while back. I hope everyone else liked it. If you actually have any questions about how I did any of this stuff, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you and you know, answer your questions and stuff like that. If there's anything you want to see me do a tutorial on, like that's maybe happened in this video, again, let me know in the comments, guys. If you could as well, like and subscribe. You don't have to, but it helps me out loads. And yeah, it helps the channel grow. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, comment. It all helps the YouTube algorithm and push my stuff out to more people. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for supporting me so far, and we'll let this play out to the end, and so enjoy the final turnarounds, guys. Happy sculpting, and I will catch you in the next one.